battle bunker. Today we're going to do a quick review from the Angels of Death Codex supplement for the Space Marines. We're going to be focusing on the Anvil Strike Force and how it pertains to my collection. Enjoy. Okay, way back in the 90s when I first started playing, these were the vehicle choices that we had available. And I used to remember looking at them and saying these were the coolest things ever. I used to have these as Razorbacks. I don't know where the tops went. They had heavy bolters. They were made out of metal. They were huge. You guys that are old enough will remember what I'm talking about. But this is all I could find from the old glory days. But these were the Razorbacks that I used to use. I used to have probably about 4 or 5 more of these. And then these were some of the tanks. These are the older style. You can see those metal. This is all metal, everything here. The tops are metal. Those guns, the top parts are all metal. The only plastic parts were the actual hulls. And then you can see even here, these little metal pieces were put on as extra armor bits. They came from, I don't even know where they came from, but they were an option that you could have. Even the sponsons are metal. But these were the tanks that we used. I'm going to find a use for these two. They're going to actually come back. These have been away for a real long time. Unfortunately, these guys, I don't think they'll ever see the light of day again. Maybe as terrain, who knows. But just wanted to give you a little flashback to the 90s. You see what these were the styles that we had back then. And you'll see the big differences for the options that are today. Okay, so this is the Anvil Strike Force. We're going to be focusing on this today. I added the Angels of Death supplement and how it pertains to my army. So you can see it's a Decurion style detachment where you have core choices and then some command choices and then all of the auxiliary choices. And you have to have 1 to 2 core, and then you can have 1+ of these auxiliaries. And you're allowed to choose 0 to 2 from the command section. So the Gladius Strike Force, which is, nothing wrong with it. I actually love it. It would fit my style well. I like to have a lot of vehicles. You had, 2 battle dummy companies. You were able to get all the free transports that came with those squads, the tacticals, the assault, the devastator, even the drop pods for the dreadnoughts or command squad. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. I'm actually debating whether I should even run this style, but again, like GW, they keep putting this new stuff out. It's a great time for the hobby, and I just think it gives you more options and more ways to play and personalize it, and there's nothing wrong with that. It appeals to a lot of different people, so if I just feel like I want to go with this route, I can do it. If not, I can stay with the Gladius Strike Force. Okay, so here's the parking lot, the armory. We got all these vehicles. This is pretty much every vehicle that I own. I have a couple more that are up top over here. I got a couple of Land Raiders, Helios pattern. Another one is the Prometheus from Forge World. But this is pretty much every vehicle that I own in the army for the Crimson Fist that I have so far. I have that one speeder in the bottom left-hand corner that I have to paint up to make part of the Raptor Wing, which I really like. And in the top left corner, you can see my Strike Force Ultra, which I love that formation, led by, I have Captain Lysander lead it, which I think is, I think it goes well with the mech theme. And if I was able to take a formation to go with this, I would pick that one to add into this if I was playing like a big apocalypse game or something. But this is it. I'm going to go down through the breakdown, and you'll see, how it works out with the Codex, and at least how it applies to what I have so far collected. The top right, you can see my Thunderbolt. I just saw the new White Dwarf. Well, I saw it online, a review by Spiky Bits, and it looks like the flyers are coming out and a whole new flyer phase, dogfighting phase, or something like that. And there's going to be dedicated fighters, and then the combo guys like the Storm Talons are supposed to be the middle between a fighter and then a surface to ground targets, and then you have the bombers, which are purely just going for ground targets. So hopefully that Thunderbolt will be an option for me. I don't know, we'll see when the new data sheets come out in that book that's supposed to explain everything that's happening. Well, it changes with Skyfire and which models have it and which ones don't. But that will be my choice up top right that I have existing. Otherwise I'll probably wind up purchasing 2 maybe 3. I don't know if they come in squadrons or how those new fighters are going to work out for the Space Marines. We'll see. But this is the whole thing right now from my standpoint. And just wanted to, you've seen this before if you saw my Army Showcase, so nothing new to that. But we're going to go through individual unit breakdown now with the actual formations from the book. So Lysander is the leader of this particular formation. Again, this is not included in the Anvil Strike Force, but I'm just going to pan out a little bit just so you can see it. It's got on the left there I put 6 assault terminators with pairs of lightning claws, and I probably would put Lysander in that squad, in that tank, and the Crusader on the left. Crusader would have, you know, what you get right there. Put a multi-melter on top, and the Venerable Dread is in the back right. Just zoom in, and I just painted him up recently. He's got the assault cannon, and you know, it has that weapon skill, ballistic skill of 5, 4 attacks, and allows you to reroll penetration. I put a las cannon, twin link multi-melter on the Storm Raven. You got the 2 squads of 5 Terminators with Storm Bolters and Power Fists, and each one has an assault cannon with it. That's 195 points each, pretty cheap for a good amount of firepower. I got the Thunderhammer Storm Shield, six of them that would be in the Storm Raven, led by a sergeant. So you got the 2 regular Terminator squads, the 2 assault Terminator squads, your captain of your choice, and then a Land Raider Redeemer or a Crusader, and a Storm Raven and a Venerable Dread. So that's Strike Force Ultra back there. And again, like I said, not included in the Anvil Strike Force, not as an option, but it is a formation and I do like it. So I would actually, I just wanted to include it because I think it goes with this mechanized theme. One of the core options for the Anvil Strike Force, this is where you have to start, can be a Land Raider Spearhead. The Land Raider Spearhead consists of any 3 Land Raiders in any combination, so that's good. So if you just need any 3 of whatever type it's going to be, it could be the same, it could be mixed. I would go with the God Hammer pattern, which is the standard pattern, standard loadout, but it also can have Crusaders or Redeemers or a combination of any of the 3 within it. The good thing about that Spearhead itself, just that formation, is that they ignore all the results except for destroyed results on the special rules. They still take the whole point of damage, but they ignore weapon destroyed, they ignore immobilized, while there's 3 of them within 6 inches of each other. So, that's a good thing to have just as a formation itself. Very attractive option. Obviously, for all the benefits. I mean, the only thing that's really going to affect it besides hull points is going to be the weapon destroyed results. Stop it from firing, shooting, and combine that with Machine Spirit, it's a pretty effective fire base. They also get to re-roll failed to wounds with regards to armor penetration rolls when shooting at gargantuan creatures, super heavy vehicles, buildings, any of that type stuff. So those are good things to have as options. But you have to start with one of the core choices, and it's either that, the Land Raider Spearhead, or the Armored Task Force. I'll go over the Armored Task Force next. Okay, the Armored Task Force consists of 3 to 5 units chosen from the Predators, Vindicators, or Whirlwinds. You also have to include 1 Tech Marine, and you have an option of 0 to 3 Thunderfire cannons, and if you're the Ultramarines player, you can add Sergeant Kronos as an option. So I have a group of 3 Predators here with the Tech Marine on the bike, and these are the Annihilator patterns with all the las cannons, sponsons, and twin-linked las cannon turrets. And then over here, I haven't painted this Tech Marine yet, but it's another Tech Marine on a bike. And these are the Destructor patterns, Predators with autocannon and heavy bolters. So this is what I would have three separate Predators. If I wanted to do combinations or squadrons, I could. You could do 3 to 5 units of them. So that's the good thing. I do have a Whirlwind top I could put on one of my extra Rhino chassis. I also have, you saw the Vindicator earlier. I can put that in there if I'd like. But I think I would probably keep it just simple like this with 3 Predators. Or maybe 5 Predators. I'll go with 3 of one kind and 2 of the other. And just 1 Tech Marine. But I have the option to do 2 cores if I wanted to with that. And like the Land Raider Spearhead, they can also, that Armored Task Force, the vehicles ignore crew shaken and crew stunned while they're within 6 inches of Tech Marine. Now, there's going to be a special rule for the Anvil Strike Force that will allow all vehicles in the force, the whole force, to ignore crew shaken and crew stunned. So that's kind of a redundant, benefit, but it will apply to all the vehicles, and you don't have to worry about the Tech Marine being within 6 inches of them. Also, the Tech Marine in that squad, in that formation, gets +1 bonus when making blessings of the Omnissiah roll to repair vehicles in the formation. So that's a good thing. I like to put my guys on bikes because you can get them in the movement phase to where the vehicle is, where they're most needed for the vehicles they want to fix anyway. And I usually put like a grav gun with them, combi grav, just to give them a little bit of punch. And they got the silver arm if you need them in a pinch to assault something. But they're really there just to keep everything in line and repair any damage, immobilized results, or weapon destroyed results that you can get on there. And with that +1 bonus, it could help out. So that's the core option, either an Armored Task Force or a Land Raider Spearhead. And that's from the existing Gladius Strike Force formations from the Codex Space Marines. So that's where you got to start. You get 1 to 2 of those. So I can either take 2 Armored Task Forces, 2 Armored Spearhead, 2 Land Raider Spearheads, or a combination of. Okay, one of the command choices for the Anvil Strike Force is the Masters of the Armory. And you can choose one of the following options. Sergeant Cronus could be an option for an Ultramarine, obviously. I'm running Crimson Fist, so that's not an option for me. But you would be able to put him on any vehicle that you wanted to in the Army, and he would be the warlord. He could be included on any tank and give the benefits that he gives from the Codex. Or you can give him his own tank. You can also get the Space Marine HQ tanks. That's that Land Raider Excelsior and the Rhino. I forgot the name of it. I don't know if it's a Primus or whatever it is, but I don't think it's even available out here in the States. I think it was only something that I saw on Spiky Bits channel. He had done a promo on it, and it was from Warhammer World, some kind of special that they were running out there. I mean, you can definitely scratch build or just have something that would be easily representing those 2 vehicles, but they were pretty expensive. I think they were 400 points for the pair, and you had to buy them as a pair. But anyway, you can have them, or you can have just a single Predator, a single Vindicator, or a single Land Raider, a Land Raider Redeemer, or a Crusader. So I have these 3 vehicles that, again, these were from my original armies back in the 90s. These are old. They've been around for a long time for me. I have a Vindicator on the left, and then a Predator, and obviously a Land Raider Godhammer pattern on the right. I have this miniature here. I really like this removable top. This guy is, I usually put him on, my, whatever I would deem like command tank, but now this is going to come into play very nicely, that I can use this guy as a command option. When Cronus was available just as an option, this was my Sergeant Cronus for my vehicles that I would choose to use him for. But I used to have him just on one of my Land Raiders. I would always have a Land Raider in my army, and this guy would usually be on top. But now I'm going to use this piece to represent my Warlord tank if I choose in the Anvil Strike Force. So You can very easily do the same. You can customize it. I've seen a lot of people do some very nice customized pieces for the tops, and you just put all the stuff on it for your army and is instantly a warlord. It makes the vehicle a warlord. So I have him here on top of this Land Raider. He fits nicely right there, but I have also these tops come off of these two vehicles. So if I want him to have the Vindicator, and now he's the warlord for the Vindicator. If I want to choose a Predator as a warlord tank, then I can put him right in the Predator. So he fits in any of these. He has the option to go in any of these tanks, which is a good thing. Again, more flexibility. People I'm sure have better stuff. They probably magnetize this and it looks much better. But these are the 3 tanks that I would have as a actual command tank for my army. And what you get as a benefit, your warlord has the following traits. Big guns never tire, which means at the end of the shooting phase, the warlord can nominate himself or another vehicle from the entire detachment that's within 24 inches of him. And that vehicle will immediately fire all of its weapons again. So it doesn't say that, it doesn't retain all the special abilities. The only thing I did see was that there were people that were making the assumption that the Vindicator can now fire, a Vindicator formation of 3 can fire the big massive template. I don't see that as the case. I saw another channel that made the same argument against that claim, because it says that all the vehicles have to be able to fire to combine their fire, but this is only saying that you can choose one vehicle to fire its weapon again. So I would say that would eliminate that option for the Vindicator Spearhead or formation, whatever it's called. I don't have one, but I've seen it in the book. And but this is what they're trying to look for, an actual command tank, which is cool. It's kind of like Imperial Guard when they had command tanks, and I remember they had a sprue that came out, and they had all these little upgrades you can do for command tanks. One of the books and one of the editions had that option, but they kind of brought it back, and I like it. So you can either put an actual tank, and that could be your warlord, which goes with that whole mechanized theme, which is a really fun option. And all the vehicles in this formation, in an Anvil Strike Force formation, ignore the effects of crew shake and crew stunned. They still take the whole point, but they ignore those effects. I know it's redundant with some of these other formations, like the Armored Task Force, but you have to be within a certain amount of the Tech Marine. And then that Land Raider Spearhead, they had to be within 6 inches of each other. This applies to every vehicle in the Army, no matter where they are on the battlefield, which is cool. So again, just trying to keep everything firing. It's a very good buff for the entire Army, and I think it's a good warlord trait to have. Another command option you can choose is to have a Tech Marine, and he would be in a Rhino or a Razorback. So, I have these extra vehicles that are around. You can either make them as a Rhino or a Razorback, and you can have a Tech Marine in there. I got 2 different guys. One with a combi melta, the other one just has the power axe and the servo arm. So you can choose to have just a Tech Marine, and he could be placed in a Rhino or a Razorback, and that could be one of the command options. They're called Keepers of the Forge. So again, just more tactical flexibility on, I guess you can add, they have a Mechanized Infantry auxiliary choice, where you can pick a tactical squad, assault squad, devastator squad, scout, and they could probably go in this vehicle with him if you wanted them to lead like a stern guard squad. They have that as an option. A vanguard squad can go in there, 5 men, or if you wanted to put 9 of them in there and then him, or if you just wanted to have him run separate and put everybody in his Rhino, you could also do that. So the Mechanized Infantry is another auxiliary choice, and I just said that along with this because this is kind of like a standalone command option, but I have 2 Rhinos here in case if I wanted to run with either 2 stern guards or vanguards on foot. You can put devastator squads, you can get assault squads. It's just one of that following list. And obviously they all come with their own transports, so you can just mechanize them and put them inside their transport. Or you could put them in a Land Raider Spearhead. Those guys can just go inside there if you wanted to, if you had that as your command choice. But if you went with the Armored Task Force and you wanted some infantry support, they do allow that. So it's kind of like Steel Legion-esque type of a formation, which again, I have Imperial Guard. I love the Mechanized Guard, and it just appeals to that aspect of the game. If you're interested in that, which I'm definitely a treadhead, and I like the vehicles and I enjoy playing with them. It gives you a lot of tactical flexibility, and it kind of looks really more like a Strike Force war game anyway. So all my armies tend to be mechanized. So I got these two guys here. Again, you can put anything you want. Tactical squads, Stern Guard, assault squads. You can have the assault squads with jump packs. So any of these things can go into the force, and you're allowed 1+ of them, so you can have as many as you have the points required for up to your army. So that's Mechanized Infantry. It's an auxiliary choice, and kind of goes along with that Keeper of the Forge with the Tech Marine. Here's another auxiliary choice. It's called the Honored Ancients. You can include 1 unit of Dreadnoughts from Ironclad, Venerable, or Contemptor, or the regular Dreadnought. So you can have each one of these units can be an auxiliary choice, and you have 1+, so there could be an unlimited amount, as much as your points can allow. So I have, just for my existing army, I have 2 Dreadnoughts, regular Dreadnoughts with twin-linked autocannons on both here, 2 of them, and then I have another one. I mean, obviously I have the Power Fist for these, which I probably would leave the Power Fist on these guys, but if I'm just going for straight firepower, I got the twin-linked las cannon missile launcher, and then I have this Ironclad that I built recently with the Chain Fist. This is my old Ironclad that I had. That was an old all-metal Furioso Dread from the Blood Angels, but I put the Hunter Killers on here. You don't have to have them, and I'm going to magnetize the other ones so they can be removable for this. But this guy has 2 heavy flamers, and this one has the melta-gun and a heavy flamer. So I got that, and then I have this guy over here. I used to play him as a Venerable because he's an old metal miniature. You can see how small he is compared to the other guys. But I used him as a Venerable Dread. Again, with that better ballistic skill, you get the assault cannon as a good option. 4 shots hitting on 2s, and so I got three different squadrons here. I can put these 2 Ironclads together. I can put these two, or I can have them singles, or I can mix and match. And got a nice little option. I don't have any Contemptors, but with the new box set that people have been getting with that Betrayal of Calth, there's a Contemptor plastic dread in there. So if you don't have the Forge World stuff, you can actually get them in plastic now through GW, and easily accessible over here, which is a good thing. So that's the Honored Ancients formation as an auxiliary type. Another auxiliary choice for the Anvil Strike Force, again, is it's the Recon Outriders. It's 1 unit of land speeders, so you can have just a solo land speeder or squadrons. I have a very strong preference for the Typhoons. With the heavy bolter, I'm probably thinking now I want to put the multi-melters on these and just keep them dedicated tank hunter. But they were kind of like a swing unit for me. I always envisioned them as being that, actually what they called a Recon Outrider for my mechanized groups. So I always was kind of fluff oriented. I would have a land speeder or 2 or 3 out there, and attack bikes. That would be the Outriders, scouting ahead, checking for ambushes, looking for better ways to get through the terrain for the main force of vehicles to go through. And so I've had these for a long time, but I built an extra one for the Raptor Wing, and I did put the Typhoon missile launchers on them. I just like it because it's got a lot of flexibility. I think it comes in around 80 points with the multi-melta and the Typhoon missile launchers on it. These guys, I think, were they 45 and 25, so 70 points for just one of these with the Typhoon missile launchers on them. So these are the Recon Outriders. It's 1 unit of land speeders, and it's an auxiliary choice. I am combining my Storm Talon in here with the Storm Talons with the Storm Raven just to show you that there is an auxiliary choice of the Storm Wing. It is from the existing Codex Space Marine book. This was a popular choice to get that extra air support into your Gladius Strike Force. It was fairly one of the cheaper options to get, besides like the Scouts. So it came with one Storm Raven and two Storm Talon Escort craft. I like the twin link las cannons on them because I think they just pack more punch to knock those flyers out of the air and try to get some kind of consistency, especially with the monstrous creatures and such. But you know, with the better AP. But a lot of people like the I think the Storm Talon missile launcher or rocket pod, whatever they're called in the book. I think that I might, if I did get more, I may go with that route, but this is what I'm going to go with so far. So this was a Storm Wing from the existing Space Marine. It is an auxiliary choice, and I'm just including it here in the video, even though my Storm Raven is with my Strike Force Ultra. If I ever buy another Storm Raven, which is, again, the goal of that GW, right? They get you to get these more models with these formations. I may do it. I was thinking about it before it came out, and now it's just it's putting me more into that mind process to get more models, make the army bigger. Okay, so this is the choice that I would probably use as my air support for the Anvil Strike Force, which is the Raptor Wing. This is something that's new in the Gladius Strike Force. I mean the Angels of Death supplement. And it includes one unit of land speeders and two Storm Talon gunships. If the Storm Talon gunships from the formation are in reserve at the start of the player's second turn, they arrive automatically. So you can have them come in at turn 2 if you leave them in reserve as a unit. And once per turn in the shooting phase, the land speeder from the formation can nominate an enemy unit within 18 inches in line of sight, and then that unit has become a priority target until it's destroyed, or until the land speeder designates a separate target at a later turn. What that does, as a priority target, makes the Storm Talon gunships can re-roll their failed wound and armor penetration rolls when firing at that priority target. They can also choose to re-roll glancing hits in an attempt to instead get a penetrating hit. Again, a very nice option. The speeder can, move forward, spot within 18 inches, nominate that unit, and then the Storm Talons can focus fire on there and get those extra buffs. So I'm going to go with probably just one land speeder. Again, I like the Typhoon upgrade, and I did put a multi-melter on this one. So kind of like a tank hunter. I'm going to get that guy close anyway. He wants to get within 12 inches to get the double dice for the multi-melter special rule. So he's going to be within 18 inches. If he can't get it done, maybe the Storm Talons can use their strafing run special rule just for them as a unit and finish the job. Or you can nominate flyers, or anything really, and get that re-rolling to wound, armor penetration, and attempting to get turn a glancing hit into a penetrating hit. So this is the Raptor Wing from the Angels of Death, new formation as an auxiliary choice. Another auxiliary choice for the Anvil Strike Force is the Anti-Air Defense Force. This is an existing formation from the Codex Space Marines, and it has to have one unit of hunters and one unit of stalkers. And the other restriction is the unit of stalkers must consist of at least 2 models. So this is where I would have a problem, because I obviously have the one kit, and I have the option of putting this on one of my Rhino chassis if I wanted to do so. This would be an easy swap where I can now have 2, but then I'm still going to need a third one, because you need 2 of the stalkers. The squadron, this unit has to have at least 2 vehicles. So kind of forced to pick up another kit, but again, with the 2 gun options, it's going to allow me to, if I want to get another, double this up, or if I want to get a separate one, whatever, but at least I'll have the requirements for the formation if I want to use it. And it looks like with this new dogfighting phase and the flyers coming out and the Skyfire being taken away from some vehicles. Again, that book has not come out yet. This auxiliary choice may become more of a play, be more of a role player. We'll see. I've always tended to not put a lot of points invested into the air power or in that phase of the game. I've tried to just rely on my ground and pound and then snap firing up with whatever I have that's targets of opportunity, whether something was stunned or moved too far. I'd usually use those vehicles because they're hitting on 6s anyway with snapshots, that I would fire those at the flyers or anything that's flying around. Especially it helped with monstrous creatures, at least, because I had to wait for them to get out of that swoop mode and come down before they can assault you. But anyway, this may become you might see more of these. So I'll probably have to get another vehicle just to pick up that kit. So this is the Anti-Air Defense Force formation. Again, it has 1 unit of hunters, 1 unit of stalkers, and the stalkers have to have at least 2 models. And then another formation detachment that from the actual original Codex is the Suppression Force as an auxiliary choice. The requirements are 1 unit of whirlwinds and 1 unit of land speeders. So I don't have enough whirlwind turrets to make this whole thing happen. I would have to get another kit again, or maybe trade with somebody for that piece. But or try to convert something, which is another option. And the whirlwinds have to have at least 2 models. So this would be the bare bones minimum. Now this speeder could be anything you want. It could be a whole unit, squadron, or it can just be a regular speeder with the heavy bolter, the cheap thing. And what you get with this is data leak telemetry. This is the formation special rule. And the land speeder can nominate an enemy unit within 18 inches in line of sight, similar to the other one that was a spotter. And all attacks made with the whirlwind multiple missile launchers at that formation that it designates will now be able to re-roll to hits and are treated as having infinite range. So again, the speeder is acting like a spotter in this situation to give a benefit or a buff to the whirlwinds. Now the whirlwinds, when they come in squadrons of 3, and so the same thing with the stalkers from that anti-air defense force, when they come in squadrons of 3, they get their benefits from the Space Marine Codex. So if you want to go with the full squadron, you are going to get even extra buffs based on what's in the old Codex. But this is the minimum requirement. It has to have at least 2 models in the whirlwind unit, and the squadron of land speeders can be any amount that you want. So this is the Suppression Force. It's another auxiliary choice for the Anvil Strike Force. So there you have it, the Anvil Strike Force in its entirety. There's 1, 2, 3, 6 is 8 auxiliary formations, 2 command, and 2 core choices that you need to comprise and make up this entire formation. Remember, all the vehicles within 24 inches of that command vehicle warlord gets can make that whole tank fire a second time at the end of the shooting phase, and the vehicles in the whole Anvil Strike Force ignore the effects of crew shaken and crew stunned, even though they still suffer the whole point. So my strike cruiser Iron Wolf will now be able to deploy another tactical option on the battlefield to fight the Xenos, alien, and chaos threats, fighting for the Emperor, to bring order and justice and deal out as much damage as possible to our enemies. So we have the Gladius Strike Force, which is a great strike force, which includes a lot of the vehicles that you've seen. And now we have the Anvil Strike Force, which is a totally mechanized, quick-hitting, armored behemoth. Again, bringing more to the hobby and giving us more options to pick from. So you've seen all the vehicles that I have at my disposal here, and how it relates to the Anvil Strike Force. You've also seen my Army Showcase that has many of these vehicles. I'll probably be adding a Storm Raven gunship to, just have a Storm Wing, probably get 2 more Storm Talons. If I had a wish list that kept growing, it'd be, 2 Whirlwinds, another Stalker, and then you got those new flyers coming out. So it's going to take a while. It's ever growing, ever expanding. That's what the hobby is about. Just keep working at it, keep plugging away, and keep feeding that machine, that hobby machine. So one of the things I'd like to ask from the community out there, the YouTube community, is what kind of formation, what kind of build from this formation would you use, would you recommend? Take a look at what I have here, and I have the mechanized infantry aspects. Obviously I have stern guard, I have tactical squads, plenty of them. You see the string of Razorbacks down the middle there. I got 6 tactical and 2 heavy support. 2 on the right have the las cannons. The other 6 tactical ones have heavy bolters. And then I got the 2 rhinos in there as a swing units also. My Stalker on the left over there could be used as a rhino in a pinch. I have extra. I think I got something here. Yeah, got an extra. Any extra doors, a couple things that can mix and match. Got a whole bunch of dreadnoughts. Got speeders, and obviously all those drop pods back there. So, what do you think? What do you think my next purchase should be? Should I expand the anti-air defense force? Get another Stalker? Should I get 2 more Storm Talons so I can have a Storm Wing and a Raptor Wing force? Do I need more Whirlwinds for the Suppression Force? Get some artillery going downfield. What do you think? Give me some ideas. Give me your thoughts on what those next purchases should be. All right, so this is the Bellport Battle Bunker signing off. Thanks for watching, and make sure that you leave those comments, and happy gaming. Continue the hobby, keep painting, keep plugging away, and again, thanks to all those YouTube channels out there that inspire me to put my work on there, and thanks to the guys that have been coming on my channel to show their talent, and hopefully we can get some more battle reports in the future.